Hello and welcome to the first episode of what will probably be called SimNews. So,
Hello, everybody.
hello, there's my co-host Adrian, and today we're going to be talking about some goings-on in the world of Train Simulator, and a bit of Train Sim World as well, but that's less important. So, the first topic for today is Armstrong Powerhouse. They have announced the second Sky and Weather Enhancement Pack. Now this is going to be a paid upgrade for people who have the original. Or is it free?
Yep.
No,
It's probably paid as the Wary Lines. Yes, it's like a remastered version. And this one's focusing on, it says on the Armstrong Powerhouse Facebook, it says it will be building upon the best-selling pack. And it will basically, the main things it will include are improved mist and fog. Basically, the mist now looks a lot better blended in with the general world. It doesn't look like another layer, and also there appears to be some new weather patterns, like a lot lighter clouds and stuff like that. And then there's also going to be more functionality that they haven't yet announced. Also, it looks quite a lot nicer at night. It doesn't kind of block out all the lighting. It still keeps some of the lighting in, which makes it look a lot more realistic, because if you've been in a car driving through fog, you can see like bright lights, but you can't tell where they're coming from. So that is a very nice upgrade, which will make TS look a lot better. And on that front, we have the other thing that Armstrong Powerhouse have already released, which is...
Yes, it is the Signal Enhancement Pack. And it's a £15 or so upgrade for the UK Pro signals. So they're not separate signals, but everyone has the UK Pro signals anyway.
Because they're included with lots of routes.
Yeah.
Default. Basically, most DTG routes, 90% of them include British routes. This is, of course, because this isn't... because the weather and track packs apply to most European routes, but this is just a UK-specific signal update.
Yes, and they are... I mean, they certainly look nice, and they've got some nice functionality, such as the ability to set aspects for the signals. But I don't think they're worth £15.
This is another case like we've had. Sort of, if any of you are aware with the flight simulation world, you'll know that the products on that genre of simulation sell for hundreds of pounds. So you have, for example, the developers PDMG, they sell really expensive content, which is also, of course, really good quality, but then it's really in depth. So it's not like an arcade simulation; it's a full in-depth simulation with everything simulated as it should be. So this is now starting to come into the train simulation world, with developers such as K-Trains with their Vectron, which includes a number of safety systems, but also comes for about £30 or more. And now Armstrong Powerhouse seem to be going down this path of rather expensive DLC as well. So in this case, we have a signal enhancement pack, which isn't really a train. So unless you're not really into the really full hardcore expert simulation genre, then it might not be your thing. So for example, I'm quite hardcore. Bertie's quite, well, how would you say it? You're not arcade, but you're not. How would you describe yourself?
I think there is a limit for me of the amount of simulation where I just get bored and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. Because some of the things that you've shown me, it's just so complicated and weird. I just think, oh, please stop. Just stop. Kill me now. So yeah, somewhere in the middle.
Like, for example, on the K-Trains Vectron, things like programming the LZB, braking curves, all things like that need lots of numerical data, stuff that isn't necessarily your DTG forward and go kind of train. So this now, relating to the signal pack, they look very nice. They include some very nice functionality, such as program release. So if you want a scenario where the signal stays for some cause, like for a delayed train or for a signal failure, on red for half an hour or 5 minutes, you can set that up, which is great because it does add for a lot of scenario potential. However, the pack only includes improvements for UK Pro signals, which can be a bit annoying considering for example, just trained routes and other high quality routes don't include UK Pro signals, and it's also annoying that it doesn't include semaphores. It is true that, however, AP have released semaphore signals with the Wary lines, and they're quite well simulated. However, they're not to the same level of depth as they've included these new signals. So, for example, that would be for me if I was in the UK community. That would definitely be a buy for me. But for example, for Bertie, I think you'd be more of a pass.
I mean, if someone bought it for me, I'd use it, but it's not a pack that I actually want. I never even knew that there was a want for it in the community. It's just, well, now it exists. Here it is. Right, lovely, brilliant. Thank you, Armstrong Powerhouse. I'll really enjoy this pack I didn't know I wanted.
So, yeah, great.
Yeah, so the next topic is a word I cannot pronounce, so I've just called it the Pinot Grigio barn, but I shall give it a try anyway. The Pegnitzalbahn. Yeah. So it's a brand new Dovetail route German. It's got the Train Sim World BR612 imported into Train Simulator. It looks very nice, but it isn't as feature complete as the Ruslo version that's been in Train Simulator for like 5, 6, 8, 7 years even. But I've looked at the reviews on Steam. There aren't that many, but generally they're quite positive.
The next thing we have to talk about is something regarding giving Train Simulator a break. Bertie wants to discuss a Train Sim World topic regarding how far one can go with Easter eggs.
Right, so a thread on the Dovetail forums popped up very recently, and it shows a graveyard on the new Edinburgh to Glasgow route by Rivet Games, and it shows a few bodies inside said graveyard. So it's effectively a pit, a burial.
Yeah. To be perfectly clear, there's no gore. It's just like the model of the people. But however, I mean, carry on.
Well, I mean, it's effectively just a model. It's not particularly gory or anything, but it's the sort of thing that I do as a laugh on a route that I make for myself. But
however, the thing we think is that we, as developers, because we develop, we always think it's quite a nice thing to have a funny Easter egg or even a very far-stretched Easter egg. But on a payware product that kids could be like, is this the best thing to do?
Yeah, I think that they may well have gone too far this time. Now, I don't actually mind sort of like edgy Easter eggs, but I think they might have gone a bit too far, and it might have been a bit too
much.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I reckon that they're going to patch it out very soon. I think Adrian agrees with me on this.
Yeah, but probably not. But Dovetail Games probably, because if you just Dovetail Games, if you're not aware of this, are always very politically correct. They never post anything on the forums or on social media that could be that could give any kind of conflict. It's always very correct and so on. So I'm not sure that as I said, DTG being such a polite company, that they'd be willing for someone to publish something like that using their game and therefore possibly damaging their reputation as developers or publishers. So we think that probably they'll just they'll end up getting rid of that Easter egg or modifying it in some way, because it really does take Easter eggs to the limit. Because one thing is even a political joke that you could add, because one thing is a political joke that you can, as in not extreme politics, just a normal political joke that you can find more or less funny, or even a joke like, for example, we have a bus in the river, meaning I don't really support buses, but it's a joke and there's no people, it's just a bus in a river. It's in a really weird situation because there's no road that leads there, so it's not even like a road accident, it's just a random bus in a river. And that's the Easter egg that you kind of expect. But an actual like graveyard with bodies being dug up is slightly much. It's a bit much.
Yeah, I think that Dovetail Games are probably going to get that cut out. I think that if the routes that we make, us two, if you showed, if you showed me a joke like that in the route, I'd probably find it a bit funny, but then I'd say, yeah, you'll have to cut that out. And I reckon that it was done by one employee at Rivet Games. No one else knew about it. Dovetail definitely didn't know about it. And then now that it's on the forums, there's going to be words. Just like what happened when Dovetail Games stole the textures for the anniversary Flying Scotsman pack.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
that
forgot.
was quite a scandal about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot the packet actually existed until it came back into my head just now. So, but yeah, I think that they've always set the mark.
Basically, just for those of you that don't know, what DTG did was they decided to randomly publish a pack that wasn't theirs with some updated textures they stole from a freeware website, St. Gloriana Gaming Reasons, which actually do a really good job. So it was a bit out of the blue, suddenly like, sorry, DTG, but you've stolen our work. I'm not sure you're fully aware of what you've just done.
Yeah, I mean, what I expect is that, like, one person at DTG was told, right, make this pack, and then they wanted to go home early that day, and so they just looked online, found the reskin, deleted the child objects, and then said, right, here's your pack, enjoy it.
I did it at night in extra time. Do I get a raise?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably I don't know how fast their download speed is, but depending on how it is, it could have been the fastest DLC they've ever made.
and that is quite a statement, taking into account we are talking about DTG here.
Well, the Class 321, that was horrible. The Class 91, that was horrible. What other really horrible packs by Dovetail are there?
The 150/1.
Actually, no, I don't agree with that.
The physics are awful.
Well, yeah, but it is a beautiful pack. I mean, the modelling is lovely. Well, anyway, the next topic is also to do with Train Sim World, but it's on a slightly higher note. I say higher, lighter note, because it's pretty low note, because, well, it's what I like to call how to sell out your player base. So they did a mega article where they announced a bunch of new American content. So we've got Boston's Providence, a new version of it. We've got a Union Pacific Heritage pack, which has got a bunch of preserved units. I'm pretty sure it's just a reskin pack. So
yeah, it's definitely a reskin pack. Nothing new. Don't get excited.
Yeah.
Just more AC4400s, not even an SD40. It's just loads of AC4400s in the same livery again and again and again and again, which is just ludicrous. Because it's like, the worst thing, obviously, is if these come with any new features, obviously they won't be on any of the older DLC. Why would they?
Well, I presume if
possibly consider that.
Well, if there are new features, it will probably be applied to the Sherman Hill one as well, because that's what it's for. Yes, it is.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, but not anything else.
Yeah, it's annoying, the consistency. But anyway, you've got multiple bundles. Now these are really expensive. So you've got the United States Super Bundle, and you get the Training Center, which is worth nothing. That's like selling the Test Track as a DLC.
And the thing is, it's not even as good as the Test Track, because yes, it's got a nice hub, like building, but that's about it. I mean, the only nice thing that it doesn't, because it's not got any free roam scenarios either. So either you make your scenario with your they're trying to do something that doesn't work with Train Sim World. So the point of the Test Track is you bung as many trains as you like, whenever you want, however you want. But the thing about Train Sim World is that you can't do that. So they're basically selling you something that can't be done. They're saying, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want in this mode, except either you go into the free roam with the trains they give you with no substitution, or you don't do anything at all and you just put your typical TGV and go round and round and round and round. Pointless.
But anyway, So we've got the training centre. We've got New York to Trenton. Now, the way it's presented is a bit like NEC New York revived, but then it doesn't have the SW1000R, which is still one of the best trains in Trains in the world. And it doesn't have any freight content. So the GP38, that's gone. We still don't have the GP40-2 back, including the wagons were included in NEC New York and the GP40-2 pack. So like the coil wagons, the rubbish wagons, they're still gone. We don't know where they are. They might come back, they might not. Who knows? And then you've got the updated Boston to Providence. You've got the Acela. Yeah, Acela. I never know how to pronounce it. The Acela Express, which looks quite nice actually. The Heritage Collection, as we described earlier, Sherman Hill, and Cahoon Pass. Lovely. Now, the cost of that pack is £80.
What?
Yeah,
£80?
Yes, yeah, it is. So I like to do a bit of maths. Now,
Right.
Railworks 2, as far as I can find, it cost £30. And it included 9 routes. Test track, Bath to Templecombe, Oxford to Paddington, Newcastle to York, Hagen to Seagan, Cahoon Pass.
Cajon.
No,
Not Cahoon.
No, it is Cahoon Pass.
It's Cajon. It's Spanish. It's Cajon.
Oh, and then Adrian. And then the 3 fictional routes. So you've got Castle Rock Railroad, Head North, and the other one, Seaburg Bahan. And then that is 9 routes, £30, which, if I get my calculator out, is practically nothing. I mean, it was a really good value, £3 per route. But we've got £80, and we've got 1 route, 2 routes, 3 routes, 4 routes, 5. We've got 5 routes. 5 routes divided over £80 is £16 per route. So that isn't a very good deal, considering the base pack, which is free, it's like it's £40, isn't it, for the general, like the basic Train Sim World, the standard edition.
35. 30. No, £40. £35. Yeah.
£35, right. £35, and then you've got 3 routes in that. It's £11 per route. So you're actually spending more per route buying the smaller edition. No, you're spending more per route on the big edition, which should be a better value product, than if you're buying the standard edition. Now, obviously, it does come with 2 not scenario packs, but train packs. But even then, it still isn't that good value. And then you've got the US Passenger Bundle, which is the training centre, Boston to Providence, New York to Trenton, and the Acela. And that is also a quite weird cost of £50. Right. How does it justify that? It's 3 routes. Oh my god, no. No. Please don't. Okay. Right, £50 you get 3 routes. Only 2 of them are full routes. 1 train. So then that is the worst value thing in Trains in World, I think. And then you've got the freight bundle, which is slightly cheaper, but that's got the training centre, Kamala Harris Pass, and Sherman Hill, and the Heritage Collection. And you've got the New York starter pack, which is just New York to Trenton and the training centre. Okay, and then the US starter pack, which is Habanero Pass. So would you like, Adrian, I'm going to give you a business plan. Do you want to spend an absurd amount of money for something that's broken, ugly, isn't that fun, and doesn't run very well?
Yes.
Well, brilliant. May I suggest to you the US Super Bundle?
No.
Well, no, the thing is, I mean, is going to be crap. I'm sorry, but
I mean, Train Sim World. Right. I need to say something here. Train Sim World 2 was alright, meaning it had lots of flaws, but it was playable. I don't know what they did with the dynamic sky thing, but it basically uses 95% of your CPU, even if you have a space-age computer. You must have modelled the cloud like, I don't know, with 1 million polys per cloud, because it's all, and no baked lighting, because it's just performance goes to 0. And whilst I do like graphics, if I have to play the game where the anti-aliasing is so low that I can't actually tell it's a train in order to run at 20 FPS, then I'm sorry, but you can shove your £40, you know where.
Was it really that bad? Like 20 frames per second?
It was awful. And then you go on the new routes, as in on the old routes, and it's 60. And then you go on the new ones, and it's like 20. And you're like, I'm sorry, but what?
Thing is, I'm not sure how Dovetail justify the performance costs, because the routes...
The dynamic skies don't even make any sense, because I understand the need for dynamic weather, and I think it's really cool. And in fact, there's some script for Armstrong Powerhouse weather, and then what they do is they basically make it so it's a randomised weather pattern, but you have to load it. And I thought it was a really cool step forward, the way it was done in Train Sim World. Until then, you're driving on a beautiful summer's day through California. And remember, let's not forget this is desert. And then suddenly you get a snowstorm.
Yeah, I mean, the lighting in Train Sim World is weird, because it can look really pretty, but only in limited circumstances, because it's...
Very limited circumstances as well, because if you take into account, for example, St. Pancras, if you've watched the screenshots that they published of the of St. Pancras, it looks during like during dawn and dusk, it looks like London has been bombed with a nuclear bomb.
Well, it's foreshadowing, isn't it?
It just looked. I mean, St. Pancras doesn't look like that. The world doesn't look like that. You go in a tunnel and it's dark, but it's not. You know, it's not a black hole, and you look at the sun and it's bright, but it's not, doesn't melt your eyes.
The priorities are very strange, but I'd like to use this opportunity to move into the last topic for today, at least the last one that I've actually written down, and it's got something to do with the editor. Now, a few years ago, well, when Train Sim World was first properly announced, it was actually announced in 2014, but the first in-depth look at it was where they announced multiplayer, which didn't come and has been cancelled, and the editor, which didn't come and has been cancelled. But I have had actually a theory into this, and I believe that the cancellation of the editor was fully planned and had nothing to do with what Dovetail said it was down to.
Usually, as things usually are.
Well, look, they say that licensing issues with the Unreal Engine were the reason why they couldn't distribute the editor. Now, I think that is part of the issue, but I don't think it was an insurmountable part of the issue, because there are multiple editors for games that you can buy now, like Bus Simulator, which use modified versions of Unreal. So the theory that Dovetail have is not, it doesn't cut it really, because it can be explained. So you have to look for other reasons, and I think I've cracked it, because in Train Simulator the editor is basically a free-for-all. They have no control over what people make. They can't claim any profits or anything that people make. It is completely up to the person making it. So I can make something in Train Simulator, and the only money that Dovetail will ever get from it is the cost that I paid to buy Train Simulator. But in Train Sim World it's different. So if you're one of the very few developers who get chosen to work on Train Sim World, you've got all the time that you spend learning the tools, you've got the very long time actually developing the content, and then when that's all done, you get all of your, well, not all of your, but a not insignificant amount of your profits taken by Dovetail and then another part taken by whoever owns the store, so Epic Games, Steam, Sony, Microsoft, wherever it's on now. Well, I mean, tomorrow they'll put it on iTunes, I think. But, you know, so you're looking at losing, what, 60% of it? I mean, that's a rough estimate. I don't know how much Dovetail take, and I don't know exactly what the different vendors take. But at worst, I think probably 60% of it's gone. So that's a lot of money that you are not getting. But Dovetail, they have the last word with everything. They can tell you what to make, as was the case with Train Sim Germany, who the Blood Miller, they were told not to make it as far as I'm aware. But you've got Dovetail have a huge amount of control on Train Sim World and what people make for it, and then there's no editor, so you can't make your own stuff, and that means that anything released for Train Sim World has to go through Dovetail. So it's their prices, their release schedule. They take the profits, well, a portion of the profits. So then you're left with something that isn't really yours, but Dovetail take credit for it. And I reckon the reason why they cancelled the editor was to prevent people from making their own stuff for Train Sim World, and then because with the extra control, they can say. They can tell people whatever they want to make has to go through us, and that is really quite concerning because Train Simulator has lasted for so long solely because of the editor. It's hardly going to be because of Dovetail's content. Microsoft Train Simulator, the exact same thing. It was kept alive by the community. Most of the massive upgrades to Train Simulator, such as the Sky and Weather Pack by Armstrong Powerhouse, were not made by Dovetail Games. They had no part in it. The best thing, Dovetail can do really good things for Train Sim World, but for Train Simulator, but they very rarely do it. The APT, for example, has an amazing DLC, love it. But then you've got a lot of crap. I said earlier, the Class 91 and the Class 321, they are pathetic. So you've got a train simulator which is kept alive by the community, and then you've got Train Sim World, which I believe is systematically designed to not be kept alive by the community, and this will harm it long term. It just will, because without any modding, you can't. It won't sustain itself as a community, because you're always going to be going through Dovetail in some way. The livery editor, well, you can modify the textures yourself, but it's far easier just to use the internal livery editor. But then you can upload it to Dovetail servers if you want it to be on consoles, but then you've got to conform to their branding rules. And then routes, where you can't make your own routes. People are trying to reverse engineer it, but it won't be the same as using Dovetail's official tools. It never will be, for obvious reasons. And then the scenario, there's a scenario planner in Train Sim World, but it is crap. It's... People say it's a glorified quick drive. It isn't. It's not a quick drive because it's not quick. You need to set it up. That's the point of quick drive, is that it has pretty much no setup. But the scenario planner, you do have to set it up, but then the end results aren't actually very in-depth. So it's not even it isn't even my first scenario editor. It's just shit. And then you've got and then I believe there are people trying to make their own scenario editor, but again, it won't be the same thing. And you've got time towers. People are making or have made their own time towers, but again, not the same in-depth tools. And so you have a point where everything that can be modded in a Train Sim World is affected by Dovetail somehow. And that's really disappointing to see. Now, the good timeline is where they do release the editor. Now, obviously, it won't be available on consoles. I don't think anybody was expecting it to be available on consoles. The Unreal Engine, no, you can't put it on consoles, unless you count the Steam Deck as a console. Well, really, it's PC too, more like. But anyway, the good timeline is when it's released and people make their own stuff. Lovely. The community sustains itself long term, and then we're looking at what's happened with Train Simulator, where like 15 or so years after people are still playing it and really enjoying it, and it's getting better and better every day. But then you've got the bad timeline where they don't release the editor, and in that case, Dovetail Games, they still take all the money. Well, not all the money, but you know what I mean. It's all based on Dovetail's word. There's not much innovation, because remember, most of the innovation in Train Simulator was not done by DTG in any capacity. And so you've just left with a shell of a game. And Train Simulator could have been really, really good if they'd fulfilled the promises they made in that video in 2017 or whatever it was, 2016 even. And it's really interesting to go back to watch that video. I mean, they've deleted it, but you can still find it on places, like videos reacting to it. So if you watch those, you can see that they had a bit of passion in it. But I think that they've been taken over, but possibly, I mean, it might have been a shareholder decision. It could have been just internal decisions, really. But whoever made the decision, the direction that Trains and World took was very different. Right, so that was the first episode of SimNews. We still don't know the name. Anyway, SimNews, it's over for tonight. It's been about an hour long so far. I think it's more than enough. So, from both Adrian and me, it's good night.
Goodbye. Yeah, good night and goodbye.
Yes.
And we hope to see you in the next episode with lots of new train simulation news for your enjoyment.
Yes, we don't know when it's coming. It will come, probably, at some point. We don't know when, but you will see.
As soon as possible.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you for watching, and good night.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.